Just a menace. Just a menace. Menace is sobriety. Just a menace.
Funnily enough, when you start drinking, you don't look any different to everyone else, right? So I started when I was 13, 14. Everyone's just getting drunk, everyone's binging. It's just normal. You just fit in with the crowd, right? If it's normal to binge to the excess where you black out, don't remember what you've done, and that's normal. That mate, he can't have a problem. He's the life and soul. And if ever anyone says that I'm the last man standing or that's the guy, and I'm like, that's the one who's really struggling then. And we started. And 3 days later, I was lying in a hotel room in Paris in the dark. Haven't slept in 3 days. I'm crying and I can't move my mouth because it's so chewed up from MDMA, ecstasy, cocaine, everything. I don't even know how I got to Paris, really. Like,
So
blackout.
dangerous.
And I just couldn't stop. You know, there was sometimes I remember, I see people now or talk about it and they go, yeah, we used to buy 1 gram or 2 grams. I used to buy 12.
Wow.
Like, that was my order. My dealers, I was the fucking best customer.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Menace to Sobriety with your host with the most. I don't mean to boast, but my name is Daniel O'Reilly, aka Dapper Laughs, Fridge Freezer, Lemon Squeezer, Ebenezer, Doozer Pleaser, a MasterCard Visa, a bit of an all-round crowd pleaser, some people say a lady pleaser, and a proper naughty geezer, but not too naughty anymore because the man is sober. That's right, about 120 sank days, feeling fresh, looking sexy. Those are the words of the missus, the wife, if you're listening out there. I'm joking, she never does. She couldn't give a shit because she is it all at home. But listen, I'm firing on all cylinders. As you can tell, I've had a coffee and I'm feeling emotionally charged and vibrant and excited for today. Now, I know I'm streaming now, probably into you at work, at home, if you're watching on the telly. Hello, thank you for letting me in your house and for letting me come in your ears, come into your... Shit, man, sorry. But I'm very happy today. I'm just feeling the energy. And I want to say thank you to everyone that's tuned in. I've got a very cool, exciting guest today, someone that I follow on Instagram, because normally it's you guys following me, but I follow this guy on Instagram. He's inspired me. And when I started going on my journey, he was one of the accounts that kept me motivated. And I thought, you know what, get him in. Let's have a chat. Welcome to Menace to Sobriety, William Armstrong.
Thank you so much,
got it. Armstrong.
You got it.
And you have got a strong arm. Look at that, fucking hell.
Mate, I didn't know I was helping you.
Yes, mate. Yeah,
Really?
Yes, yeah. I like your aesthetically your page and your post. It draws me in, and a lot of the stuff you say and that. Listen, it's what we do. You'll know this firsthand when you go on a certain journey. You get drawn to people that are on a similar journey. It helps you, doesn't it?
100%, man. And I think because what I try to do a lot of the time, I'm just talking to the camera. It's actually quite nice speaking to another person now. Yeah. But usually I just talk to the camera so that when I am on social media, if someone sees me, it's kind of, I want to be speaking directly to that person.
Yeah.
When I've got so many friends that say that they actually stopped following me because every weekend they wake up on a Saturday hungover. And it's just me kind of staring at you being like, stop drinking.
Yeah.
So that's really nice to hear that.
Man. And
you, man.
And as you said, you've been following my journey on socials as well. And we had quite a candid conversation before because somebody messed up the time slots. I'm not saying nothing, but
sorry.
Yeah. So we were waiting outside, which I hate doing. Look, there he is. Go on, put the camera back on you. Yeah. There he is. He's also got a new haircut.
Got a shit haircut.
No, it's nice. Yeah. It's nice.
You look good, eh?
What do they call it? The cock block. No, I'm joking.
They call it the incel.
It's the incel. No, that's our guy over there, John. And me, you and John were sat in Starbucks and we had a little chat. And I hate meeting the guests before the podcast because we started.
All I wanted to talk about was
getting into it.
The reason you got me here is because we have something in common, and I find that you may be at this point now where because you've stopped drinking, all those people that you used to relate to, suddenly you've got a whole new world that's opened up. And when for me now, I can sense it on people. If I meet someone within 2 minutes of talking, I can kind of look at them and go, I can see that you've been through something and you're on the other side. Yeah, in a way, and I can see the positivity that's kind of coming out. And like you said before, the things just start to happen around you, like the positive things, and it's because of what you're doing. It's just the day-to-day routine.
I feel I said that to you, didn't I? Like, I've got a really, really important meeting after this, and a great meeting, and it's blown me away really how it's come about. And I do feel like the universe is giving me because I'm giving myself sobriety. The universe is giving me stuff. I know that sounds silly, but enough about me, man. I don't like talking about me too much. Do you know? I know all know about me. I'm a geezer, but let's learn about you. So first off, let's start by telling me your sort of journey. I want to get an idea, and I want the listeners out there to get an idea of the level that you were at in regards to your drinking, your partying, your drug use, if you were using drugs, how sort of severe that got, the reasons why you changed, and start me off from the beginning.
All right, let's do the beginning. So, funnily enough, when you start drinking, you don't look any different to everyone else, right? So I start when I was 13, 14. Everyone's just getting drunk. Everyone's binging.
Yeah.
It's just normal. You just fit in with the crowd, right? And then when I was about 15, I started to get super anxious, which, again, you think you're a teenager. You know, you're anxious. You overthink things, and you think that's just normal. But for me, it was so much more than that. It was every day, every second. I was scared of social situations, of people, catastrophizing what could go wrong.
Yeah.
And for me, it was at the same time when we start binging. And when you binge, just drinking at this point, you binge, you black out, you're not worried.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about what might happen next week. I was just in the moment, loving life, partying. And it kind of, because alcohol it's legal. It's encouraged. It was okay. It wasn't like you're doing a bad thing. You're doing what
Don't drink too much, but there's no major downside.
Yeah. And this is, it's one thing I talk about a lot is when people talk about, what a problem is. If it's normal to binge to the excess where you black out, don't remember what you've done, and that's normal, where's the problem? How can you, there's no line. Anyway, so I remember having this anxiety, but I didn't really know how to verbalize it. I didn't know what was going on. You're a kid.
Yeah.
And I went to university because my family did, and they said, it seems like the right thing to do. But I just got even more anxious, and the more I got anxious, the more I relied on alcohol to remove the anxiety, but it would always come back the next day twice as hard. And when it does,
you drink twice as hard.
You drink twice as hard, right? And then I left university. I failed. I was like, I just couldn't attend anything. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Didn't even know who I was at that time. Anyway, so then I left, and I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll just get a job. I got a job as a waiter in this like countryside pub restaurant place, and it was strange that for someone with social anxiety to be in a room full of people, I felt incredibly calm because I had control over that social setting. Even just as simple as someone sitting down and I'm stood up, I can control the situation. I can remove myself when I want to. So I found that working in hospitality, I felt more comfortable than being at home by myself. I would have panic attacks hundreds of times a day.
Really?
Just at home. It was so consuming mentally.
Yeah.
So alcohol was my
Crutch.
tool. There was nothing else that helped, just alcohol. And then I thought, if I'm going to do hospitality, I've got to come to London. So I ended up moving down, worked at some very, very famous and very high-end places where the guests we would have in were A-list Hollywood stars and even presidents. And
give us some names of the stars, can you?
If you give a name, I can say yes or no.
All right. Jimmy Savile. No.
Yeah.
He's on the pod next week, isn't
Where was you working at? The BBC? No, I'm joking. I don't know, sorry, mate. Yeah, your career is over. No, I don't know, who, actors, famous actors,
rock stars, rappers.
All right, okay. Well, let's not go into details.
Yeah.
But all right,
but
so
it's this kind of clientele where you think that's the dream, right? You want to be famous, you want to be rich. This was what I was living in for so many years in London. Obviously, even through my drinking and whatnot, I still managed to kind of progress.
Yeah.
And for me, especially in a city like this and a culture like we have where you value yourself on work so much, if your work's fine, how can there be a problem?
Yeah, if you're doing well in your job, but you're a bit fucked on the outside, don't matter, you're doing well at your job.
Like so many people I know in the city still, and it's like they'll just go to the extreme with coke, with alcohol, but as long as they get to work and they make it through the day and they make money, that's it, you've sorted it.
Yeah, that's
and that was
so
my
true.
mentality, and I was like, how is it that you have a problem? And basically, I was, towards the final years, before I go into that, when I moved to London, I never saw myself as a drug user. I don't, class A drugs, it was scary. I came from the countryside, completely removed from this. I didn't see that stuff. I think I took a bit of speed as a teenager.
You must have had ketamine if you was in the countryside.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And there was MCAT and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, but cocaine seemed a lot harder, a lot more of a city drug. Yeah.
And I remember one of my mates actually when we were teenagers bought some, and I remember thinking, I didn't realize you're a drug addict. It was like this thing in my head. And then we came to London, and I was at a party, and suddenly someone got out a DVD case, loads of white powder on it, and I would my heart was racing. I was like, I can't do this. That's not me. I'm I think of myself as being like I was a good kid, and I'm like, that's big. And then I got the pressure, and I thought, yeah, go on, let me try it. I tried it, and it was unbelievable. I was like, this is amazing. This is basically a better tool than alcohol, because now I'm comfortable in these situations to speak to people, and that anxiety was kind of gone. I felt like the person that I'd been trying to be, but there was this barrier between it.
And cocaine broke it.
And I was like, why was I scared of this? This is incredible. And because
so dangerous, that thing.
Oh yeah, because I now see it as a positive. Cocaine was a positive. It made my life better. So suddenly I was like, everyone's doing it. It became as casual as drinking. You go to the pub and everyone just passes you a packet. It's like, can have a cigarette. It was so casual.
You can meet up on a Wednesday night and you're having a beer and go, do you fancy getting one?
Yeah,
we'll get one. Yeah.
And the thing is, you'd by the end, I was getting to the point where I wanted to do cocaine more than anything else, but I had to justify it. So I'd get home and I'm like, let's go to the pub. No one wants to go. I'm messaging people just so I don't have to like do it alone. You'd have a drink just to justify doing it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it just, as you can imagine, it got out of control because I was doing it 3 times a week for 7 years.
Wow, 3 times a week. I mean, that's intense. And for me, now looking at that 3 times a week, I'm not even looking at the times when you're using it. I'm looking at the times when you're not, how hard them times are.
Yeah, when you're on it.
Because for me, I was... I don't know. I always struggle now looking back, trying to, I could go weeks without it. But some weeks, if there was 2 events on with certain people, it would come out into play. But it'd take me in my latter years, it'd take me a week to recover from it. So it was almost like I was drinking or high or hungover. That's it.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it 3 times a week, I mean, you are operating at
I had no respite.
You are operating at a real low level of serotonin, a low level of happiness, and just as that anxiety's coming in, you're just bang back on it. It's fucking, that's heavy, that is.
And the thing is, when I started it, I don't know if you were the same, but I couldn't stop.
Oh, once, yeah. They're like Pringles, aren't they? Once you pop, you're off ski.
Can't stop. But the thing is, I would start, and I'd always tell myself that day, just have 2 drinks, just do 1 line, and then call it a night. And even though I knew in my mind, I'm like, I know it's not going to be like that.
Yeah, the problem with that is, and this is something that I've definitely learned, is you can say to yourself, I'm just going out for 1 or 2 pints, but you've got to make that decision that you're only having 1 or 2 pints and 1 line after 1 or 2 pints and 1 line. Yeah. And after I've had 2 pints, you could say to me, look, do you want to go to a strip bar? And I'll be like, fucking, let's go. Even though I know I'm definitely not allowed to go. Do you know what I mean? But that would only take 2 pints. If after 4 pints, mate, I'm stripping. But no, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the thing. I spent all day having this kind of mental argument with myself, and it was so draining because I would think all day, okay,
and then afterwards, why am I doing it?
And as soon as you have that beer, you go, what was I thinking about? Yeah, this is life. This is what we're here for. And the thing is, when I drank, I was never sad. I was never violent. I was never down. I just wanted to have the most fun. And when someone's doing that, how can you tell that they're the one with the problem? If every time you see them on a night out, they're the ones happy. And it made me realize every time you go out and you go, oh, that mate, he can't have a problem. He's the funniest one.
He's the life and soul.
He's the life and soul. And if ever anyone says, I'm the last man standing, or that's the guy, and I'm like, that's the one who's really struggling then.
Yeah,
that's the guy who's having like a really tough time, because what happens on that night and that person you see is not the person you see the next day who's curled up on the couch, literally just like you were saying before, like so many times I'd be lying there just crying. Yeah,
oh man, and it's not until you're sober that you look back, and I mean, it's difficult to talk about for me because it's not even embarrassment. It's like I look at myself and I feel sorry for myself.
Yeah,
I do. I look back at myself and I think, because even if one out of 5 drinking sessions got well out of hand, and there were some problems associated with it or whatever, and the next day, like I said to you, I've been in situations where I've flown back early from holiday, or everyone has flown back. Like I've been on stag do's before where they've all flown back and I've gone, just go lads, I'm keeping this place for another 2 days. Like I couldn't comprehend getting the party stopping, or finding myself in the early hours of the morning many times crying, like I said to you, crying my eyes out because I'm just, the come downs come in and I'm just like, why have I done this again? And like we said outside, the crazy thing is you get over the come down, you shake it off for a day, like you said, you go to the gym or something, and then you're like, fucking hell, what that? Let's get back down the fucking pub.
You just, mad. It's crazy how quickly you forget it. And I remember there was one specific occasion which, a lot of people always say, what was your craziest night, or what did you do that was and it's crazy that this didn't even break me. I didn't even realize at this point, but I remember I'd booked a holiday, just a week off, and me and a friend, we were like, let's just have a week off working. And I finished at midnight. I remember I finished at midnight at work. I called him. We both worked in restaurants. We went to a restaurant, wait for everyone to leave, locked the doors, got the trays out, covered with them cocaine, champagne out the fridges, music on.
In the club?
In a restaurant, empty restaurant. We just sat at the tables. And we started. And 3 days later, I was lying in a hotel room in Paris in the dark. Haven't slept in 3 days. I'm crying and I can't move my mouth because it's so chewed up from MDMA, ecstasy, cocaine, everything. I don't even know how I got to Paris, really. Like,
so
blackout.
Dangerous.
And I just couldn't stop. There was sometimes I remember, I see people now or talk about it and they go, yeah, we used to buy 1 gram or 2 grams. I used to buy 12.
Wow.
Like, that was my order. My dealers, I was the fucking best customer.
That's mad.
I'd get calls like on every Friday, all of them calling me, do you want? And I'm just like, yes to all. It was crazy. I was that guy.
Wow. I saw one picture on your Instagram of you in Vegas. Talk me through that.
Yeah,
that's a sad looking picture, man.
That was interesting. That was, oh God, how old was I? 24. Never thought I want to go to Vegas. I'm not really into gambling. It's always seemed like a bit not my kind of scene, but there's a few guys going out. We went there and that was the first night. We landed and everyone was like, don't go crazy because we'll be fucked for the rest of the holiday. Can I swear on this, by the way?
Oh, it's fucking on Dapper Laughs. On Dapper Laughs, you twat. You can punch the geezer over there if you want.
Never trust anyone that doesn't swear.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we landed, and I remember we went and bought the Sky vodka bottles, 2 liters, 2 of them. And we go to the hotel room, and I think I almost finished a bottle. I just couldn't stop, just vodka.
Oh, man.
I remember we're in a club, and I think I must have had, I don't know why I remember this, someone might have told me 13 double vodkas and Coke in the club then. Like, it was just as much as I could get in my body. And at the front of this club, there was a staircase. And it was, instead of a stage, it was like a staircase. And I was at the top. And I was so drunk. And I remember trying to move, chatting to someone. My foot slipped. And when you run and you can't catch yourself.
Yeah, you're like, whoa, yeah.
I ran and took out like 2 girls stood there, just completely, I'm about twice their size.
Yeah.
I slammed them down. And I remember all these girls hitting me and being like, what are you doing? And caused like such a scene, and I'm just there going, I always think of myself as a good person,
but you weren't.
I was doing things which a fucking bellend would be doing.
Wow.
And you're like, it's still, anyway, so that night carried on. I then ended up in a hotel completely by myself, didn't know where my friends had gone, and I had these 2 girls come up to me, really complimenting, being like, oh my God, you're so pretty, can we go back to your room? Again, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, yeah, sure, like out of my mind. I take them to my room. Next thing I know is I wake up. Wake up in the morning.
Rob job.
And I'm like, oh man, what time is it? Oh, where's my watch? Oh, let me check. Oh, where's my phone? I'm looking around. Everything's gone. And basically they were hookers that, like, they prey on drunk guys, take me back. I pass out. They take everything. And the fact, like, you think that happens, like the danger you're in when you get to that state.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised I'm even here talking to you, to be honest, because so many times I was in situations where I shouldn't be here.
I said I had a conversation with my wife yesterday where I said I went into London yesterday. I can't remember why. That's weird, isn't it? I can't even remember what I was doing yesterday. There's so much shit going on. But I was in London yesterday, I went to meet Kirk. I went to meet Kirk Norcross, and
the first episode, right?
Yeah. I went to meet Kirk in the Hippodrome Casino because we're potentially doing something in there, and he knows the geezer that more or less owns it. And oh my God, I was so triggered. I was walking because Leicester Square was my thing, man. It was like I'd go into London, I'd have my meetings in Soho or whatever, and then fucking it was party time. For me, it was casino, drinking, and everything else that goes with drink. A little bit of and all that jazz, and I just felt dirty being in London, central London. I just felt it.
I know what you mean, but also with the casinos, with gambling, it gives you the same.
I used to do it all. I used to have once every couple of months. I'd just have a full blowout, casino and everything, and I just felt it in there. I could feel this nervous energy, and when I come out and I was heading back, it was dark, and I was wandering around, like going down onto the tube and that, and I was a little bit nervous. I don't know why. I think I just had anxiety anyway, and I couldn't. And I said to my wife when I got back, I said I don't know how I managed to survive going up there like 3 nights a week 3 nights a week, getting absolutely fucking smashed, wandering around till like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, like after you've lost your mates in central London in the dark, wearing a nice watch and all that. I'm like, for years, I don't know how I got through that.
But the thing is, you do these things, the amount of times I just get into a random guy's car, he'd drive me wherever he wants to, as long as I can buy the Coke.
Yeah.
And like now, I went to see my brother in Finsbury Park yesterday, and just walking around, I was like on edge, being like, am I going to be all right? But I would go to the most scary, dangerous places with zero fear because my desire for drugs was so much higher than my own personal safety.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Yeah,
it's crazy how it kind of changes your mind in that way. And yeah, thinking about it now, there's just such a disregard for your own safety.
Yeah.
Even the fact that you're taking something, you don't even know what's in it.
No, yeah, let's not even get into that. That's what makes me laugh. Half of my mates going, I'd never get the fucking jab, but they're sniff bugle off a Weatherspoon's toilet seat. Do you know what I mean? That they've just bought off God knows who, but they won't get the jab. I love that. But anyway, let's not get into it. Actually, this might get blocked for saying that. I just said jab, didn't I? I'm talking about boxing. But right, that's the darkness. Let's move on from the darkness into the light. So talk me through because you're actually like a sober coach, aren't you?
Yeah.
But before we get to that,
yes,
talk me into how did you make the transition?
So I think for the final 2 years of doing this lifestyle, there was a voice definitely in my head that was saying,
you're in trouble.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
You'd be there at 2 a.m. over the toilet. We're not going to get dark again, but convulsing, throwing up while your left hand has a plate full still. And between throwing up, you do another one. Throw up, do another one.
It's fucking insanity.
Tuesday. It's 2 a.m. My flatmate is in the room trying to sleep, and all he can hear is me snorting and convulsing. Like,
he must be thinking, fuck that.
How can I be doing that and still not be aware of going, yeah, this is a problem? So basically, I got to the point where I had a weekend booked away to the Lake District, like super relaxing, climb some mountains, do some outdoor wholesome stuff. And I remember I was working the night before and I thought I'd celebrate. I had a shot of tequila. Next thing I know, it's 1 p.m. I'm in Oxford Street in someone's flat, 2 guys with me, barely know them, barely like them. What am I doing? I've got a train in 2 hours.
Oh God! Fuck.
And I panicked, and he said, "I'll tell you, let's take it all. Let's go back to yours. Carry on. We'll take it. Take it on the tube, on the tube, and then the train." And I'm like, "This guy's not even coming with me. My 2 mates are going to be meeting me. Probably got up early. Probably went to the gym.
Fresh. And you're with these fucking strangers.
I'm
worrying about sniffing
white tuxedo at 1 p.m. and I haven't been home yet. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Oh my God, I can just relate to that so much.
We had this weekend away. We still drank. We went to pubs and did hikes and stuff.
But you got home and you got changed. You got your shit.
I got home, showered, changed, didn't sleep. Straight to the train station. And one of my mates could tell, saw me straight away and said, "Listen, you need to sort your life out." And no one had ever said that to me before. I was living in this world of indulgence. You drink as much as you can. Everyone's doing it. These famous people, these wealthy people, these successful people are doing it. How can it be a negative? So you're kind of encouraged to, and he said that to me, and my ego, I was just like,
go on, carry on, don't worry about it.
I was just like, how dare you tell me what to do? Like, I was so inflated with it. And anyway, we had this weekend away.
But just to go back to that, sorry, you got to the train station and he said it to you there, did he?
He saw me. I was bright red, puffy, eyes screwed, I couldn't stop twitching and...
Like still high, obviously.
Oh yeah, out of my mind.
And he just said...
And we got on the train, they bought some beers, handed me a beer, and I'm like, no, and I just curled up on the train, just like shaking, trying to sleep,
Oh, yeah, I know.
Anyway, so we went to the Lake District, we planned a day to climb this mountain, and I've always had a bit of a fear of heights, but I challenged myself. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going up this mountain, them two straight ahead of me. And I'm climbing up, and I remember just being like so overwhelmed with fear, and I'm screaming out loud to myself. First time I'm kind of talking out loud to myself, and I'm going, come on, you can do this. Do it. And I'm screaming, I'm pushing. I get to the top, and there's a little old woman eating sandwiches. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, in my head, I'm like, what? Like, I've just got into this comfort zone where everything, I've never challenged myself. I don't push myself to see what I am capable of. And when I saw her there, I was just like, what are you doing? And I remember sat there and I kind of looked out and thought, yeah, I need to do something. Like, I didn't think I was going to stop. I just thought, let me take a break. Just a week, just 1 week. Like, for a week for me was massive. And on the train back, I was there. Like, we still drank that weekend. But I was on the train, I went, I'm going to do smoking as well, because I used to smoke 20, 40 a day. Especially when you were high, it was just non-stop. And I was on the way to London, and I remember thinking, I'm going to take this really seriously. I'm going to take it really seriously. I'm going to do a week and see what happens. 2 days later, I tried to go to the pub. I said to a colleague of mine, should we go for a beer? And he said, you're not drinking though. And I said, it's fine. I was just messing about. Like what I'd been through, like such a pivotal moment. And then 2 days later,
yes, an illness.
It was crazy. So anyway, I went, no, do you know what? He didn't go with me. And I thank him so much that he didn't, because if he had said yes, I wouldn't be sat here right now.
Wow.
100%. So there's so many people along the way, like the guy that told me in the train station, the guy that said no. And I thought, yeah, let me do the week. I'm going to finish the week out, see how I feel. And I felt unbelievable. Like this fog cleared, and like
but that's
serotonin.
Like, that must have been like 2% of recovery.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I was waking up. I wasn't still awake at 10 a.m. twitching. I was waking up and I felt energy. I felt positivity. I felt kind of like an adrenaline rush of excitement. And I was like, what? This is just normal. This is just how you should normally feel. So I said, okay, I'll do 2 weeks. So I did 2 weeks. And I was like, the idea that we do alcohol and drugs, it's actually an act of self-love. We're just trying to make ourselves feel better. Everything we do is to feel better. The idea that I'm here on this podcast, the idea that you set it up, it's all because we want to feel better in some way.
Of course it is.
So even the abuse we used to put ourselves through is still an act of self-love. It's trying to feel better. But the thing is, you feel better immediately, but for a short time, and it comes with a whole lot worse after it. Whereas I found if you do something that might be uncomfortable, you might push yourself, you're going to have much more fulfillment and a better feeling.
Yeah, it's like the opposite way around.
Yeah, it's the opposite way around. And this is why, for me, like, I know I'm never going to drink again because it's not an option. Logically, it's not an option because I know what's going to happen. For me, the bigger challenge I face now is how do you control that overthinking mind, that overactive worrying or anxiety, and
without drinking drugs,
without that tool. It's like an instant fix. So for me, it came down to exercise, ice baths, hiking, getting out in nature, journaling, meditation, all these different things that basically bring you back to the present moment and calm you down. Because that's what I used to do. I would drink to slow down those incessant thoughts. But anyway, so I did the 2 weeks and I got invited on a date, which was my weak point. And I turned up. I didn't know how to say it. I didn't tell her before. We just turned up at the bar, and I said, "Yeah, listen, I'm not going to drink tonight." And she said, "Yes, you fucking are." And I was like, "Please don't make." I didn't know how to communicate what I was doing. I just said, "Please don't make me drink. I've just done 2 weeks. I feel unbelievable." And she said, "I'll tell you what. You can drink tonight and stop again tomorrow."
Oh, fucking women, man! Don't even get me started. Go on.
And I said. In that point, I didn't have any defenses. I didn't have any techniques.
You were too weak.
I was so weak. Vulnerable, and I went.
And you're looking for excuses still. Yeah.
And it was kind of logical though. I went, yeah, I can just stop tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I drank, and it was the first time I sat there and was consciously aware of what this was doing in my body.
Yeah.
We're there talking.
You
I'm
can
going.
Feel it coming.
Oh, I can feel it, and I felt it go up my neck into my head, and I'm like. Holy shit, I've never had this awareness of it.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
Go.
I always get really excited. But that's because you've never drunk sober in so long.
Yes. Yeah. Where you have that, I'd never taken a gap since I was
I was the same.
14.
Yeah.
And I went back for this one night, and it was a great night. We had a lot of fun, and I woke up in the morning. I went for breakfast, and I remember sitting there feeling like shit again. And I just remember I finally had this consciousness come forward.
Yeah,
and I had a conversation.
I don't like it anymore.
Yeah, a conversation with myself where I went, "You're not doing this again," and I was there going, "What? You're never ever doing this again. Doesn't matter who. Doesn't matter if you've got a family member or someone at the end of their life saying, I just want you to have, like, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
My top priority now is not drinking.
Yeah.
And when I decided that, everything became so easy.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, do you want to go out for drinks tonight? Do you want to do this?
I don't drink.
I'm like, well, no, I don't drink. That's the top thing.
Yeah.
If that's my top thing, nothing matters.
Yeah, just to jump in there, I've got a very, very, very similar thing happened to me, but on a longer scale. I went sober for the 6 months, then I came back for Christmas, my wedding, my stag do and all that. I thought, oh, do you know what? I've proved that I don't have to drink, and I've said this many times, so the podcast will probably be bored of it. But when I come back, I just said to myself, I can just drink on special occasions, and definitely no drugs and no fucking massive drinking sessions, and that changed really quickly, and suddenly I was back in the mix of it, and I just thought to myself, well, as soon as I'm back in the mix of it, and things don't seem to be falling apart, I'll just stay in the mix of it. But then when it went from like their turbo. For some reason, it just went turbo again. Yeah. And great things were starting happening in my life, and I was meant to be the happiest because I just got married, and it all went to shit. And I had the same thing. I mean, my shit seriously went wrong, and I had the same thing. I was like, this just is not an option for you, mate. Like, if you drink now, and that's why so many people around me it infuriates me sometimes, because there's still people around me, and there's some people around me that know what I went through and the shit I caused, and they still go, you'll have fun one day. Yeah.
It's kind of it's crazy, but there was a friend of mine that told me, and it's so true, that the further into sobriety you swing, if you go back, you swing even further into drinking.
Oh, do you think that's what it is? Because I've done 6 months,
100%,
and then when I come back, I was like, woo!
Yeah. And people say to me now, and it's funny because people will try and offer advice on your situation. People tell me, but yeah, you're fine now. You were young. Maybe you just had too much money and you just wanted to blow it all. And the funny thing is, people say to me now, yeah, but to be honest, I don't think you'd go as big as you used to.
Yeah, that's what.
And I'm like, but what? Why are you saying that?
Yeah.
Do you like, what is it? And you realize it's them saying, I think you should try it, because if you do it, then you're going to be my drinking buddy again.
Yeah, exactly. And I get the same. I get the same. You weren't an alcoholic, mate. Like, you weren't a drug addict. You weren't an alcoholic. You weren't a drug addict. So I'm like, I don't know about that. But what I do know is, once I started, I couldn't stop, and it changed me and made everything negative. And also, I have a seriously unhealthy relationship with drugs and alcohol, because I'm emotionally unstable at the best of times. Got my ADHD, and I use that shit to cope. So, but when you, I mean, listen. It's hard not to get addicted to how good you feel being sober.
That's exactly it. But it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing that led me down that path with cocaine, that why I'm doing what I'm doing now, because I wanted to feel better. Cocaine made me feel better. Doing what I do now makes me feel better.
So what exactly is it you do now?
Well, this is something that kind of developed over time. I was working in hospitality, and as soon as I stopped, I thought, I can't do this. It doesn't feel right. I'm running a bar, people coming in, everyone's offering me a packet every 20 seconds. So it was a really good introduction, because I lived and breathed in that environment.
You're lucky, because I get that anxiety going back into it.
I could be like, now I know I could be anywhere. I went to a 12-hour rave in Bangkok. Yeah. And everyone's on acid, and I had 2 Red Bulls, and I had the best night of my life.
You're like fucking, when Batman speaks to what's his name, and he was like, "Are you all right with the dark?" And he was like, "I'm born in the dark." That's like you in the sesh, innit?
Bane.
It's like, yeah, Bane. You're like, do you want to have a sesh? Yeah, do you want to have a sesh? You're like, I was born in the sesh. Yeah.
But I found that so useful. But again, I thought, this isn't my environment anymore. It doesn't feel right to be here. So anyway, that's when I decided I wanted to get out of London itself, and just everything that I'd ever known about the culture that we have. So I booked a one-way flight to India.
Fucking, you love an extreme, didn't you?
Yeah.
I don't know if I like London anymore. I'm going India. Yeah, go on.
But that's kind of what it was. I am quite an extremist. If I find something I like, or I want to push myself, I do it.
Yeah, brilliant.
And I went to India, and I just spent a year moving around by myself.
I bet that was
everything and anything. Best year of my life. I like I told you earlier, I stayed in monasteries with monks. I drove motorbikes through active volcanoes. I stayed in the biggest caves in the world in a tiny, it was crazy, some of the stuff I did.
When we go sober, we all turn into Russell Brand, don't we?
But the crazy thing was I felt like I was born on that day. Like, for me, I consider myself to be 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy, because that person before that was not me. It's not who's sitting here now.
I think I saw on one of your posts something like, it's like you start living life, isn't it?
I used to spend every night talking about how I was going to live life. I used to say, do you know what? One day we're going to do this. One day you're high around the table going, I want to own a bar in Hawaii. And then you realize the people that are doing this are not sat around a table snorting gear all night.
No.
And
so true. Yeah.
So I took this year out, and then at the end of it, I thought I'll come back to London, because I kind of ran out of money. I wasn't working. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I came back and I said, right, I need to do something that more aligns with with
the person I've become.
Yeah. And for me, it's health. My health is paramount, mental, physical, everything. And I thought, I'm going to be a PT.
Yeah, you're in great shape.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah.
But the one thing I loved boxing, so I became a bit of a boxing coach, and I loved it. It was amazing. Waking up, working for myself, waking up at 5 a.m. Breathing, stretching, doing all these things.
Love
cold
that.
shower. You just feel like I'm ready for the
smashing
day.
life. Yeah.
It's a high. It's such a high. And to do that and to see getting people in shape, and I loved it. But every time we were training, I was there trying to talk about so many other parts of health. And they're just trying to box, and I'm just there going, yeah, well, if you tried this and this, what about your mental? And I realized I'm only doing a small section of what I value massively. And I went out to Thailand last year just because I wanted to, work remotely.
Joking. Yeah, go on.
Lady boys.
And there you go.
And I remember I was on my Instagram and I was like, yeah, we're going to do a live workout tomorrow morning. Who's keen, like UK time? Found this American guy with a gym. Said, can I borrow the back room? I'm going to set it up live. We're going to do a workout. It's going to be amazing. And the guy was like, yeah, that sounds great. Get it all set up. I'm there warming up. Cameras on, turn it on. I sit there for 20 minutes. Not one person joins.
Wow.
And I remember just going, it's okay. This is like,
it's part of it.
It's the Joe Wick story, No one does it for 15 years. And then and I was like, but I don't enjoy that. I don't, not the grinding, but I don't enjoy working out on a camera like that. I love working out for myself.
Yeah.
And I went, I don't know. And I went for breakfast with a couple of friends I'd met out there, and I'd never spoken to the camera before, and they were doing it loads. And I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting how you do it. And they pushed me. They said, why don't you try it? Just see what it's like. And I was so nervous. And I remember I was in this little kind of hut in the mountains.
It's weird, isn't it?
Of northern Thailand, and I put the camera there, and I felt my heart going, and I'm like storming around the room, and I'm like, I only ever speak to people. Now I'm speaking to a fucking phone. And I remember I was like, it was my 4 years of no drinking that day.
Oh wow!
And I thought, on the soberversary, as people call it, I always like to do something, a post where I talk about it, and it always used to get a lot of traction. And I put this post up, and it was basically me saying, I am going to give myself of service today. If you guys, anyone out there, can relate to me and my story and what I went through, I'm here. I'm doing nothing today. My phone is on. Call me, message me, anything. I want to help you.
Wow.
And it blew up. The amount of people these were just people I knew. The amount of people I knew that came forward, and I'm like, wow, I would never have guessed that.
Wow.
And it made me realize how many people hide it. I hid it. And the one thing that's really destructive, when you hide it, when eventually it becomes too much, no one believes you because they've only seen the best version of you.
Yeah. And
so it goes from nothing to I'm fucking my life up. Anyway, so I put that out and I went, this is what I've got to do. I didn't know, like, making it into a job or anything. I just went, I've got to share this. So I went on a mission, making videos, talking about some of the darkest stuff. And by doing it, it actually felt like I was healing myself.
Yeah, it's like counselling.
I was helping the will that I never helped before.
I'll tell you what. This is, and it's such a great thing to say to people that are struggling. It's such a great thing to say to people that were in our positions when we were in our heyday.
Yeah,
it's a great thing to say to them. The beautiful thing about going through that pain and becoming addicted or becoming like reliant and using alcohol and drugs to excess. And realising it, the best thing is once you start getting into your recovery journey, suddenly you've got stuff to help people.
Yeah.
Suddenly you've got tools to help people. And like you now, although that was horrific, there were some fun parts to it, but it was horrific. I mean, it's made you, your struggles and that fucking horrific stuff you put yourself through has given you something to give back.
The one thing you find with almost everyone who's been through this, if you ask them, would you change anything? I mean, for me, absolutely not. No. I wouldn't change one thing because I am the happiest and the best version of myself.
And you realise you're happy because you realise how unhappy you was.
Yeah. For me, that was just normal. I thought that was life. I thought getting up in the morning and going to work.
Fucked. Yeah.
It was every second was a struggle. The amount of times I would do like a 2-day bender and then go and work a 15-hour shift.
Yeah, like, oh.
And I remember one shift, every human being turned into a giant crow in my head. It was horrific.
Why?
Because I was hallucinating. Like, I hadn't slept in that long. I was on so many drugs. Everyone was walking around, big black wings. I was like, I remember being conscious of it, and I was like, my brain's fucked.
See, that never happened to me. You were doing copious amounts of cocaine, weren't you?
Yeah. Like,
fucking hell.
A lot. My nose actually changed shape quite a bit.
Did it really?
My mum noticed it first.
Wow.
Like, look at your nose. And I was like, yeah. I stopped before things got away. Anyway, but yeah, the fact that I can go from that... For me, if someone reaches out and says, yeah, but you probably weren't that bad. Yeah. If you can do what you're doing now, you couldn't have been that bad because I'm in a much worse position. The one thing I have is most likely, I mean, this is why I've no judgment to anyone who drinks. I know what it's like. I've been there, and I've probably been worse than you. And I think this is one thing, and again, this is why, you know, I love the fact that you've set up this podcast, is because there's no hidden agenda here. I just want to share it also to help myself. Every single person I help
helps you.
It helps me.
Yeah, it's good karma. It makes you feel good. Yeah.
And like you were saying, the things just naturally happen around you when you give out such a good energy, and you stop focusing on what everyone else is doing. Like, I don't care what anyone else is doing now. I just focus on me.
Yeah, and I found with this, I mean, from a selfish perspective, I found the reason why I done the podcast and wanted to talk was because I felt such relief. I felt such relief just finally opening up to my wife and saying I was a twat. Just finally putting my hands up and going, all right, you know what, maybe you're right. Just finally saying to people around me, guys, lads, I'm sorry, but I'm out because I have an addictive personality. I have a problem with drinking drugs, and I get myself in some fucking states behind closed doors that you would not even believe. And saying the worst is your family, right? And saying to your family, saying to, you know, going to family events and saying to your family. I mean, I found that very difficult, going to a family party and saying, I don't drink, I think I'm an alcoholic, or, you know, I've been abusing drugs.
Well, I think once you go on that sober journey, for me, the challenges of things like, what do you say to people? How do I act here? I knew I had to just find a way around them, because drinking was never going to be an option again. Yeah. And that's what kind of made that a bit easier. But when I stopped, I reached out to an old friend of mine who said, you need to come to a meeting. And I was desperate. I was like, yeah, anything. Went to the first AA meeting, and I just, you know, everyone was talking, but it was all very heavy. You know, this is what it is. Everyone's sharing their stuff. I started speaking, and I went off for 10 minutes just in my own world, talking about the darkest things I'd ever thought, but I put it into like a positive spin. But everyone was just like, you know, I stopped thinking, oh my God, what have I just done? And everyone was like, thank you, Will. And I was like, what? Is that it? Like, I've been thinking about this stuff for years. And I've just let it out, and no one cares, because you all know what it's like, because you're all the same as me.
They're just like, yeah, we get it, mate. Yeah, we were there. So what do you do with your client? Do clients come to you to get sober?
Yeah, so a lot of times people reach out to me because my aim is I never tell anyone what to do, number one, because you can't. It has to come from you. I'm sure when you did it, there's external factors that have mentioned things or triggered something.
Yeah, I mean, like, you find it offensive, people telling you, you know, you're drinking.
Someone tells you how you should.
Yeah, look at the state of you, man. How long have you been drinking for?
Yeah.
What's your problem, do you know?
But it's only when it clicks in you, then you go,
wow,
okay, yeah, maybe I should.
Yeah.
So people reach out to me, and the first thing I do is I actually have a podcast myself where it's just me talking, and I talk through everything I do in much greater detail, like really, really open up. And first thing I do, reach out to me. I said, listen, go straight to the podcast. It's free. Go listen to it. And usually they come back in a few days, and they're like, I'm in. I get it. I've never heard anyone speak about this.
What's the podcast called?
The Teetotal Trail, How to Break Free from Alcohol.
You should turn it into a book. Have you thought about doing that?
I have, yes. I'm kind of going down that avenue at the minute.
Great minds, my friend. I'll take 20%. So what's the podcast again? Just clarify. Teetotal?
The Teetotal Trail. So the kind of, I like the word teetotal more than sobriety in a way, because when
it's not as scary.
Yeah, sober is like sober.
And teetotal.
But teetotal, everyone's
positive.
Like, what does that mean? I'm like, exactly. No one knows it.
Yeah.
But then I thought trail, because it was that mountain.
And it's a journey.
It's that mountain that I got to the top of where I had that epiphany.
Where the old granny was sat there.
Yeah. And then, you know, the one thing for me, I did 4 meetings with AA, but I realized it wasn't for me. Like you know, having to read out the word God, so like it's not my style.
A lot of people would say the same.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I read the other day that only 7% of people that go there stop drinking forever. I don't know if that's true. That's what I read.
Yeah, the AA, I think whatever works for you, the AA saved millions of people. Yeah. Some people connect with it, some people don't. That's the beautiful thing. Some people will connect with this podcast, some people won't. You've got to find what's right for you.
One thing that's important is we're all going for the same destination. Yeah. We're all trying to better our lives and become happier and healthier, not just for ourselves, but our families and people around us, you know. But the one thing I did take from the meetings was I loved being in an environment with other people, where they're going, oh yeah, that's just normal. I'm going, because it's so isolating. When you're on the couch the next day and you look at Instagram and everyone's living these amazing lives, and I'm like, why am I not doing that? Why am I on the couch like fucked? Yeah,
I'm going to definitely come up with some form of sober event soon. I'm going to come up with something.
I know that you created the your Facebook group, Mate, as well.
Yeah, Men and Their Emotions, yeah.
Which is amazing. And for me, what I did was I created a community. So it's called the Teetotal Trail, and it's basically a space where I go live in there 3 times a week. So we go live on, you know, on Google Meets, and everyone can come in. You can have your camera on, you can have it off, you can share, you can stay quiet, you can listen. But there's no agenda. You don't have to be like, I make it as casual as possible.
Just
if you're
people
there
talking.
at home, and I 3 times a week. If you're at home and you're like, I just want to hear a different narrative.
Yeah.
Because when I stopped drinking, I didn't know anyone who didn't drink.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, now you know loads of people. It's weird how
Now, like, when someone says they drink, I'm like, oh, I forgot people do that.
Yeah. Thought I got rid of you fuckers.
Yeah.
Not joking. But just because we've been tight on time today because of our producer John.
Thanks, John.
I just
I pressed the wrong button.
he's all right.
Doz.
He's having a bad day today, John. But it could get better later, John.
Everyone looks like a crow. No. It's
He's a fucker, isn't he? William, I want to finish, and I'm going to start doing this in the podcast. I want to finish on specifically talking to one type of person. So I want us to visualize a person out there now that's drinking heavily, occasionally using cocaine. Things are sort of falling apart at the seams with their relationship. They're finding life hard. They're finding their work environment hard. They know or they're battling with the idea that their drink and drugs has turned into a coping mechanism, saying they can't cope with life without, and they're weighing up going sober, or they're thinking about it, or they've maybe just started. What advice would you give to them?
I think the most important thing, which I wish I would have told myself or someone would have told me, is there is a way out.
Yeah.
The one thing that held me back so long was thinking that this was it, accepting it. And taking on that identity, whoever you believe yourself to be, that's who you're going to work hard to convince yourself, right? Change your beliefs. You're not that person anymore. There is a way out. Find support, find help. And the thing is, it's such, as you know, it's such a journey. The first week is a journey. Then the second week, 5 years in, I still am working, and it's incredible. But it is by far the best thing I've ever done in my life by a long way.
Yeah.
Like it's really crazy that we sit here and try and convince people of this thing which you and I know is like, wow, this is so obviously the best thing I could ever do, and yet we still hold ourselves back when we're in that place.
Yeah,
we think, oh no, yeah, but you're different. I'm not. I'm just like you. I'm just like everyone else who's struggling, and I have struggled even since stopping drinking.
Yeah,
there's always struggles, but the one thing is, alcohol and drugs are never going to fix that.
Never.
They're going to instantly soothe you, but then bring it back. And now you're dealing with the same stuff, but now you're hungover and coming down, so it's even harder.
So true. And I think I would add to that by saying, it's I don't know how to. You're so good at talking, you really are. But I don't know how to sort of articulate it and say it. But it gets hard. It's only hard till it gets good.
Yeah.
It's only really. I mean, it's still hard, but it's only really hard until it gets good.
Yeah.
And it takes a little while to get good, but it's only going to be really hard at the beginning.
I think one thing that I would have liked to hear as well is it's going to be really, really bad just before it gets really good.
Yeah.
Like when things get really, really bad, you're close.
Yeah.
It's going to get really good soon.
Yeah.
The night is darkest before the sun rises.
That's what I was trying to say.
Fucking the geezer has a use, mate. I love that. You have recorded this, haven't you?
Oh shit! Yeah.
All right, I love that. And look, yeah, guys out there listening, and girls, if you want your happiness back, then go and check the Teetotal Trials podcast and give William a follow. What's your Instagram, mate?
So it's the Teetotal Trainer.
Teetotal.
It was kind of, I started with the personal training and just thought, let me throw teetotal in there, and it just kind of stuck. And
yeah,
the Teetotal Trainer.
Congratulations, mate.
Thank you,
ooze
mate.
Positivity. You
Thanks,
speak
man.
well and you look great.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Thank you.
What a great podcast. That one flew by. I'm just going to finish up by saying thank you very much to William, and make sure you go and give him a follow. Obviously, I'm going to be tagging him in bits and bobs on my Instagram the week that this comes out. And listen, for those of you that are tuned in, I know there's a lot of people out there that are watching that aren't sober, and thank you for just listening to us, because as William will tell you and the other guests, being able to talk openly about this sort of stuff helps us. And I just want to say that today I'm having a really good day, and I feel really good. And and I just want to thank my guests, thank John, and thank Sobriety for that. Follow, share, and tag people if you think it will help them. And thank you very much. Bye. Woo!
Yeah.
That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
Lovely.
fun, man.
Oh yes, and don't forget, if you want to come and see me live and meet me, I'm going on tour. The Daniel O'Reilly Out of Character full UK tour kicks off in January 2024 and tickets are on sale right now. I'm going to try and get out and meet as many of you as possible. And of course, I'm going to be bringing the laughs all over the UK. There's 23 dates right now and I'm adding more all the time. Hit the link in the bio and get your tickets now and come have some fun. If you're going through a tough time at the moment, please don't suffer in silence. Feel free to pick up the phone and contact any of these helplines. I personally, myself, at one of my darkest points, contacted the Samaritans and it completely changed my outlook and got me out of a really deep, dark place. A problem shared really is a problem halved. So if you don't feel confident talking to those around you, check out any of these organisations and give them a call. This is my Facebook group. Just simply search on Facebook, Men and Their Emotions. It's for men only, but once you're in there, you can talk anonymously about your problems and help others and just feel a little bit of community. So come join the conversation, Men and Their Emotions, on Facebook. Thanks for watching.
Menace is sobriety. Just a menace, just a menace. Just a menace. Menace is sobriety. Just a menace, just a menace.